except a few of us. I mean, 90% of the mankind on this planet believe in some god and all that. Is it Trump, Ganesh, or I don't know what. But no, we are pieux. L'âme pieuse. Baudelaire turns toward des servantes, la servante au grand cœur, vous étiez jalouse, qui dort son sommeil sous une humble pelouse, etc. Et que pourrais-je bien dire à ce so I hear that like a sort of a mission of a poetic task. What could I mean, en 2000 et les poussières, not in 1870, but I knew, que pourrais-je bien dire à cet empire? So how to modulate, change, keeping the relief, for instance, élévation, résurrection, virginity, what is the meaning of all that now? And que pourrais-je bien dire, c'est not to keep them in superstition, idolatry, what is to be, in any case, must be abandoned or relinquished, but in the process of this getting out of credibility or superstitious credibility. Of course, I know that one cannot even say that kind of phrase with all the audience without being inquiété. But that's the way voilà, that's my too long answer to your effacement. And as for the Shoah film, I think that like rendre ineffaçable the becoming unbelievable. So let's say maybe 1 hour after or 2 hours after, even we say something like that, we saw someone and who told us a thing, it's unbelievable. No, I couldn't believe it. What he said, what we saw yesterday, 2 weeks ago, and all that, it's unbelievable. So, how to retain, not, alors, this is the question of lettres et esprit, of course. Keep the literacy, the literati of the things, and invent a sense, etc., etc.
Yeah, Virginia?
It's actually just sort of a gesture of thanks to you, since when you started talking about Dichter und dürftige Zeit, and you translated dürftig with darker, I was thinking, why did you choose that? And then you started going into the invisibility and hypervisibility, and I'm thinking, okay, darker, and it's sort of the sandstorm. I started thinking of a sandstorm where everything gets dark, and things become more invisible. And yet at the same time, when you started on your association towards effacement, I saw how, yes, well, the sands of time and how even the pyramids are worn down by sands. And then started thinking about how we also make glass, something very clear and distinct, out of sand. And it was just, I just want to thank you for that opening up of the richness of yet another side to what one can do with translation, with a richer palette, let's say, of choices to think about. Because I had never thought of dürftig in Hölderlin sense as
excuse me,
dark.
I couldn't hear a word of what
you didn't?
No, because alas, I have a sentence. So could you resume for me?
It was a thank you.
No, I'm sorry.
All right, let me stress, and it's true. You kind of demonstrated what a poet can do, in fact, contrary to a philosopher. She didn't say that's now my interpretation of it. Because in your translation of Heidegger's, or Hölderlin's dürftige Zeit, dürftig, the German dürftig, you translate it as dark. In dark times, but that is not what dürftig means usually. But this opened for her a new way of what's that, association to sandstorm, to darkness, to glass, to whatever. Okay. The point was that you demonstrated how you, no, but that's exactly the point. In philosophical terms, academic philosophical terms, so what is going on here, you know, is kind of a game of association, but that is exactly what the poet encouraged us to do. Follow this, follow even a mistranslation can open up to a...
That's just that I really didn't mean it was a mistranslation. It happened to be these senses in
It's
perspective, we may never have thoughts again.
Okay.
In the Hannah Arendt Dark Times, translated by Culture, in French, the first or the second, I don't remember, makes the relation in Dürftige Zeit and Dark Time. That's all. It was a sort of quotation, not a translation.
No,
Dark Time of Anna and the Dürftige Zeit.
But dürftig in German means poor.
This note, of course.
That is right. The note. That is. But the whole point is to say that this is not calling for another concept, but for images, for something which language allows to come. Therefore, she wanted to thank you. So hopefully, no thanks now from Ben.
No, I think for us, hearing your poems in English is obviously a loss in a way. I think it's common sense to say that a lot of poetry is lost in translation. But I wonder if because of the subject of your talk, there's obviously, in the movement from one language to another, there's obviously something of this reciprocal movement that you were talking about. So something is forgotten in the translation into English, but something, I was wondering if you could talk about how something is also given back, where maybe sort of the original words in French are like the relics that are sort of, when they're translated to English, there's maybe some spark, and you see something new about your own poem. I was wondering if you had any experiences with the translations here, for example, where you had this sort of experience of something incredible or poetic about the translation itself.
I don't think the translation loses anything. It's when it is a good translation, it invents another word. Why to lose? Of course, the matter with translation is one hopes to hear the original language in the translation. I remember always a Russian friend said, you never hear Pushkin. Of course, because when I hear Pushkin in French, I don't hear Pushkin in Russian. So, and the age of, about Heidegger, the age of Beaufretic Fédieresque translation, 1670. It was an effort, interesting attempt to translate, in order that one could hear the German in French. It's quasi impossible. No, it's very important because about translation there is two statements. First, everything has to be translated, that's the duty. Donc tout est traductible en tant qu'adjectif verbal. Second, or first, rien n'est traductible. Bon, comme on dit ordinairement, the translation is impossible. Okay, so the two together, it's a form of double bind who reigns over the translation, that's it. So, but we have always a regret, some kind of regret, not to hear the German in her learning language. I remember a strange book translation, l'Énéide, well-known l'Énéide, Virgil, translated by Klossowski, an enormous quarrel in Paris around the NRF, it is 65, or something like that, maybe 70. The point was, Pierre Klossowski tried to respect as far as possible the placement, the precise location base of the word, of the Latin word in French. But, as you know, the Latin has morphème de déclinaison, comment dit-on ça? Datif, ablatif, so, I take this example. When you have an accusative line 1, an adjective, and you have an accusative line 2, the Latin here that relates the two. But in French you have no morphème de déclinaison.